Good morning. Good morning. We were just listening to Patty singing Some Return Again, and it's so nice to have everybody return again to our community, to love, to the heart of who we all are. And we want to welcome everybody today. Today is September 12th. And again, it's our year of manifestation. And we like how we're manifesting our community, the love within us all. And we want to welcome any newcomers. And if there are any, we're glad you found us. And we hope you come back again. Well, we want to know you're going to be coming back again. And we're so glad that everybody that does come back, you come back, because it is a joy to be here with us all. We'll just smile at you and spread our joy like peanut butter and jam on bread. Yes. So our themes for today and for the month are Only I Can Free Me, Daily Practice Creating Freedom, First God, then Me. So let's sit back, take a breath, close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, turn those cell phones down, put them on mute, put them aside. It's time not to worry about who's calling, but to listen to God as Patty sings us some songs and leading us into meditation.
Thank you, Missy. As I mentioned before, we have just entered what in the Hebrew tradition is the High Holy Days. And I wanted to acknowledge my many friends of, who celebrate in the Jewish tradition. And I love their music. So this is a song that it's a chant that they sing normally on Fridays before Shabbat. But it translates into welcoming the angels and letting peace reign. So sit back and think about your angels. Shalom Alachem, Malachai Hasarat, Malachai Elyon. Mi Malach Malachai Halachem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Borachem Shalom Malakai HaShalom Malakai Elyon. Mi Malach Malakai Halachem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Varjuni Ashalom Malakai Hasarat Malakai Elyon. Mi Mahalek Malakai Halachem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zetakem la shalom malakai hashalom malakai elyon. Mi malek malakai halakem hakadosh baruch hu.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Let the healing streams of peace flow into you now, into your heart. May it settle down through your body and anchor you in peace, in joy and love. May the words ring through your life, through your spirit, through all that you ever were and all that you are. Shalom, Shalom, shalom. So be it, and so let it be so. And so it is. Thank you, Patty. That was a very nice song. And it was such a nice concept too. Thank you. Peace. And now for our spiritual thought. Let's take it away, Joe Bull, and give us a nice spiritual thought for today. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for that, Missy. I feel so easy right now through that meditation. Wonderful. And yes, these themes this month, only I can free me, daily practice creating freedom, first God, then me. They all go together so beautifully. I could talk about these for hours because I think it reminds all of us of maybe our past versus present, as what we've all been through in our life, how I'm free. Only I can set me free. I discovered this for myself years and years, using the power of thought, of course, with the assistance of God at my side. I decided to become free. I too have gone through life feeling I wasn't free to be me, not being able to speak my thoughts without criticism or rebuttal. I have learned to forgive those who I considered to be mean to me, and it became obvious to me that God didn't want me to forget my past either. Perhaps God's way of saying that we need to remember everything that we deemed good or bad, so we won't make the same mistakes again. I really don't know, but I know that I've never forgotten any of those things. I've just forgiven them. Ernest Holmes said, "The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul on this planet." We would do well to listen to this inner voice. The law of the universe makes the way possible, and love points the way for us to what we do want for ourselves. So how then do we heal from negative past things in our lives? They still seem to crop up, don't they? Don't they come to mind once in a while? It does for me. Ernest Holmes suggests that we start by forgiving those who we felt wronged us. And the bigger challenge, I think, is forgiving ourselves, giving ourselves a break from the past. If I have occurrences coming to my mind from a negative past incident, I have learned to look at it, face it, and come to a conclusion about it. Then I forgive it and move on with my day. Those things are not for us to hold to. They don't belong to us. I'd rather face them head on than try to stay away from it or run from it. I think facing it, dealing with it, and then saying, no, letting it go. It does not belong to me or you. I made a decision to let it go. That's been my motto these days, as a lot of you know. Just let it go. If you can remember to say those words when you have something negative crop up in your mind, simply say, let it go. It doesn't belong to you or me. Expressing our pain, I think that is very, very important to get it outward, to get it out of your system. Reverend Judy and Reverend Sandy did this last week. They were expressing things that were bothering them from before. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's a great, safe place here to do that. So I honor them for that. I really think it helps to release. Then I believe we can get on with our lives here and now forward. We become the victors of our lives instead of the victims of past circumstances. Well, at least hopefully. I've used this analogy once before with you, I think. It came to me yesterday about the tennis racket and the tennis ball. The tennis racket, to me, represents directing my life at ball with the racket. As a tennis ball, I felt like I was always running back and forth across the court, trying to catch up with all of these things in life I'm supposed to be doing and taking care of. And I didn't feel like I was in control. Then I thought about it. I'm going to start being a tennis racket and guide my life where I want it to go instead of me chasing. Let us all go forth today and each day in peace and love. Let's be tennis rackets, shall we? And so it is.
Let's be the best tennis rackets we can be. I like that. I like that. Thank you, Jill. Thank you. I like that, the thought of directing my life like a tennis racket. And by God, I'm going to be the best tennis racket I can be. I like that. Because I can remember growing up and having this little tennis racket, you know, and then when they brought out those new ones, you know, the aluminum frame that were much higher quality, and how we can go from the lower quality tennis racket to the higher quality tennis racket. And I could follow that analogy kind of in my own mind by what you were saying. So thank you for that spiritual thought this morning. Patty Hummel, can you give us some more of your wonderful music, please?
Okay, now I'm unmuted. All righty. This is a song by Jewel. Don't worry, mother. It'll be all right. Don't worry, sister. Say your prayers and sleep tight. It will be fine. Lover of mine, it'll be just fine. And lend your voices only to the sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength, that which you wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, and you shall lead life uncommon. I've heard your anguish. I've heard your hearts cry out. We are tired, we are weary, but we aren't worn out. Set down your chains, till only faith remains. Set down your chains, and lend your voices only to the sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, and you shall lead life uncommon. There are plenty of people who pray for peace, but if praying were enough, it would have come to be. Let your words enslave no one, and heavens will hush themselves to hear our voices ring out loud and clear with sounds of freedom. Oh, sounds of freedom. Oh. Come on, you unbelievers. Move out of the way. There's a new army coming, and we are armed with faith. And to live, we must give. And lend our voices only to the sounds of freedom. And no longer lend your strength to that which we wish to be free from. Fill us with loving bravery, and we shall lead a life uncommon. Life uncommon. Lead a life uncommon.
A life uncommon. And I like the punctuation the dog did at the end. Life uncommon. And it was like an exclamation mark, you know. Thank you. I know. Being a life uncommon, you know, kind of reminds me of when they talk about being an extraordinary. And thank you, Patty, for that. Thank you. And now for a wonderful speaker for today. Let's give him a hand, the Reverend Bob Hand.
There we go. Thank you. I'm going to talk today about the theme of first God, then me. And it made me think of the origin of that statement. It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And when Eve first came on and Adam was trying to show her how great he was. And so he said, boy, you just missed it. God organized this big race with him and all of the animals and me, and we raced all the way to the end of Eden and back. And he said, my gosh, how'd you do? And he said, well, it was first God, then me. That may not be the actual origin, but it's one of those things. The thing about this particular statement is it's very simple. I love that. I really am into the Tao Te Ching, which is based on very simple statements. But the problem with simplicity in these is that it's easy to jump to conclusions. It's easy to look at a statement and say, oh, I know what that means, and go off in the wrong direction. Sort of like the troop of monkeys. There was a troop of monkeys who were out foraging after dark, looking for fruit and nuts. And they came on this old well, and one of them got up on the well and looked in, and he said, oh my gosh, the moon has fallen into the well. If we don't get it out, then it'll be dark all night. We won't be able to forage at night. And so one of them, the older monkey, said, well, look, there's a branch going right over the well. I'll hook my tail on it and hang down, and then each of us can hold on to the tail of another one. We'll make a chain and go down and grab the moon and pull it out. So they started doing this, and each one would climb down the back of the other, and then that one would grab his tail and he would hang down until they were almost there, and just that first monkey was left. And so he very, very carefully crawled down the back of each of the monkeys, and that last one grabbed his tail, and he could just reach down there, and he reached into water to grab the moon, and the branch broke, and they all went tumbling into the well. But being monkeys, they were very agile. And good climbers. They were soaking wet, and they climbed up out of the well, and they each got out and dropped down. And that original monkey, when he got out, he fell down on his back, exhausted, and looked up, and he says, oh my gosh, look, we're all bruised and wet and exhausted, but the moon's back up in the sky and we saved it. So when we look at these simple statements, we have to make sure we don't jump to conclusions and think we've saved the moon. And language is very difficult anyway to get the true meaning out of it. You know, I can say, I'm going to flap my arms and fly. And you know, that's a correct statement. It's got a noun, it has verbs, it uses a correct pronoun with a good contraction. It has two verbs that are of the right tense. It has a conjunction in it that works. And so that is a perfectly correct sentence grammatically. But of course, content-wise, it's crazy. I mean, I can flap my arms, but the flying part gets a little difficult. So when we look at these simple statements, we have to think, what's the true meaning in them? Because when you look at first God, then me, I think kind of the first concept that comes in is separation. There's God and there's me. It's like the statement that the master teacher Jesus said in Matthew, seek ye first the kingdom of God. But where is the kingdom of God? There was a monk who was desperate to find God. And he had searched and searched for years. And finally, he heard of this monastery way out on the edge of their lands that had this great wise abbot. And so he worked his way out there, got a visitation with the abbot and said, you know, I've looked everywhere. Said, I went through every cathedral, every church. I searched the altars. I didn't find God. I went up into the mountains and the tribes that live up there, and they said there's a holy peak where God is. And I climbed way up to this highest mountain, but I didn't find God. And I went in the valley, and they said there's a sacred forest. And I went through that grove, all of its trails. I went to the Magi, and they said, look up in the constellations. Those hold all of the secrets. I studied them and know God. And he said, I've looked everywhere. And the abbot said, well, many people come out here looking for God. And so we have set up a place where it has the directions to find him. Go outside, and there's this small building out back. It looks simple, but it has this great secret. Open the door and look. So the monk's all enthused, and he runs out there and he pulls open this big door, and there's this great, huge, full-length mirror where he looks in and sees himself and sees all of the world behind him. It's like the statement, again, by Jesus in that Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, where he said, if your leaders tell you that the kingdom is in heaven, then all of the birds will get to heaven before you do. And if they tell you that the kingdom is in the sea, then the fish will precede you to heaven. The kingdom is inside you and outside you. So what does that mean, inside us and outside us? Again, it sounds like separation. It sounds like there's two different places the kingdom is. But he goes on in a further statement and says, the man who is undivided will be filled with light. So obviously filled with light means filled with this divine light, this divine wisdom. So the man who, or the person who does not divide themselves from the world has found the true kingdom. Because when we say, first God, then me, we're not talking about two different entities. And when we say, or it's said, seek ye the kingdom of God, you're not talking about a different place. We're talking about two different states of consciousness. So what's important is not where we look, but how we look. And Antoine Saint-Exupéry in The Little Prince says, one only sees rightly with the heart. What is essential is invisible to the eyes. So when we want to do something, when we want to accomplish something, when we want to get something in our lives, the key here is how we look. Do we look with the heart? In other words, do we first look through the eyes of Divine Spirit? Is our consciousness, when we're seeking where to go, first the consciousness of God within us, the Christ consciousness? And if we look first with that, first God, and see the true spiritual path, then move into the manifest reality. If we're looking and saying that, remember, of not just what will this do for me, but we've become undivided. We've become united with the oneness. And so our question is always, what will this do for all of us? Then we'll find the true divine path. And we get that by going first to God, then to me. Namaste. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Wow. I was writing so many kind of neat concepts. I liked it. Well, Bob, I think that's the best one you've done so far. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I like that. Seeing with the eyes of God with the heart, and then essentially you go into oneness within, and then you walk in the world with the oneness, and then you see with the eyes of God. Thank you for that today. Okay, and let's go ahead and have our offertory in the chat box is where you can send your donations to. And as always, it's a blessing to give and a blessing to receive. And as you give, so you receive multiplied. And please join me in our offertory prayer today. Divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. And so it is. Let me put up the gallery so that I can see if there's any announcements. Does anybody have any announcements today? Ah, Sarah. You unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry for the time, but I just wanted to inform you, some people already know that Ruth Rosenthal had kind of a brain attack several weeks ago, where she is no longer able to take care of herself. She's still living in her home, but she has 2 caretakers who are there off and on 24/7. So I wanted to mention it to you in case if anyone wanted to stop by and say hello to her. She still seems to appreciate my phone visits, and I think she would love to see anyone if you wanted to stop by and say hello, since she's homebound.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah, for bringing that to everybody's attention.
Sure.
Thank you. And I know Joe has like his expression, has just put her on the practitioner list. Thank you. Are there any other announcements? Besides that, Joe is the practitioner of the day, by the way. Are there any other announcements? Okay, I don't see any more. Next week's speaker is
Missy, we've lost your sound.
my microphone is doing its own thing today. Okay, I've put the prayer of protection in the chat box for those that don't have it in front of them. If you want to join me in our prayer of protection, please. Oh, LJ, did you have something to say?
We didn't get to hear you, Missy, when you said next week's speaker, and Ginny and I switched. So did you say it was me?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's what I said, is that LJ Bull is our speaker next week.
Just checking, making sure you have it.
Okay, I'm sorry if I did say it. I do have it up here, though, to say. Sorry if I missed you.
No worries, no worries.
Missy, you went mute again.
My microphone has its own thought today. Yeah, sometimes I get excited about being the host and things go wonky. So my sister Sandy tells me ground. Okay, prayer protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The energy of God is me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Please be with us next week so that you can listen to LJ Bull be the speaker for next week. And which would be great. And Sandy, Reverend Sandy, if you could pray us out, please.
So if you'd all just take a deep breath and relax a minute. And as we get ready to go forth into this coming week, know that we are only God, that we are this bountiful expression of love, this expression of how to live in a lifestyle that makes a difference in this world. We are each needed here. We are each needed to love and to share and to appreciate, to go out into nature, to be nature. It is so wonderful to feel this livingness in everything that there is, knowing that it matters. Everything that we do and think and say matters. So as you go forth, focus on your intent. Focus on what you would like to manifest in this world. Focus on the way you want to see this world out picture. And then go internally and focus on manifesting that. For we are desperately needed in these days of trials. Our hearts are needed, our openness is needed, our caring and sharing, our gratitude is needed. And I am so grateful to be a part of this loving family. And I know our truth is that we are. Life is good and we are. And I give such glorious thanks for that, which is mine. And say with me, please. And so it is.
So it is.
Have a great week, everybody. And thank you for today.
Bye-bye. Have a great
Bye-bye.
week.